Hey everybody, this is Paulie. I'm a senior instructor with the SDML Academy of Guitar. This video is going to be a tutorial on how to tune your guitar. Now, I want to say right away, if you are under the age of 10, there's a good chance that you're probably going to want to get help from mom or dad or another adult in how to do this. There's some fine motor skills involved, and you might need somebody a little bit older to give you a hand with how to do this. Tuning your guitar is a time-consuming and tedious process, and it's one of those things that gets better the more that you do it. So practice really does make perfect in this situation. So the first few times through tuning your guitar can be very, very frustrating. Give yourself a lot of grace. Give yourself a lot of slack on that. It takes a while to get good at this. So there are three primary ways to tune your guitar. One of them is with what's called a digital tuner. Another way is to tune your guitar to another guitar that's already in tune. And then a third way is to tune to a piano or some other type of pitch producing device. There's things like a pitch pipe or a tuning fork that you use to get a reference point. And then finally, a guitar can actually be tuned to itself. I don't really consider this one of the normal ways to do it. This can be done, but sometimes you could have the guitar perfectly in tune with itself and it won't be in tune with whatever song you're trying to play along with or with other musicians. And for this, normally as a beginner, it's not that important to know the names of the strings of the guitar, but in order to tune it, you do need to know what those string names are. So as you're looking at your guitar, you see that you have 6 strings on here. We know these as string numbers 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And that's all well and good for playing melodies and reading tablature, but in order to tune the guitar, we actually need to know what the note names, the letter names of these strings are. So without going into a lot of detail about that, you want to memorize that this is the E string, this is the A string, this is D, this is G, this is B, this is another E. So we go from our low E to our high E. And that order again is E, A, D, G, B, and another E. There are various mnemonic devices to memorize these. Two of the most popular that I know of are Eat a Darn Good Breakfast Every Day. Eat a darn good breakfast every day. E, A, D, G, B, E. Or Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. E, A, D, G, B, E. So you'll also note that each one of these strings are connected. So if I start here on my 6th string and I follow that all the way up the fretboard like so, I see that once I get past the nut here, it's connected to this post right there. And that post is controlled by this tuner peg right here. So the way that these tuner pegs work is if I tighten the peg, then I hear that the pitch of the string increases. It gets higher as I turn that up. And then as I turn it the other direction and loosen it, the string gets looser and goes down. So we call that making it flat versus making it more sharp. Or we're increasing the pitch by tightening the tuner peg, decreasing the pitch by lowering the tuner peg, just like so. So you might want to take a minute and experiment with playing with the different pegs, tuning them back and forth. We're going to be tuning your guitar anyway, so just get used to the tension and feel of that. So we're going to start out by learning how to use a digital tuner. This is pretty much by far the most efficient and highly recommended way to tune your guitar. If you don't own a digital tuner, I recommend that you get one. The ones that I use are called Snark. They look like this. It's a Snark brand tuner. It's a clip-on style, which means that I can clip that to the headstock of my guitar to hold it on, and it'll send the vibrations through the guitar into the tuner, and the tuner picks it up and gives you a very accurate reading. You can also use a phone app for your tuner. I use one that looks like this. I don't know exactly what it's called. Pro Guitar Tuner. So it has all the strings on there, and this uses your microphone to detect the sound of the string when you play it. You can also hear it and use those strings as reference points. Okay, so as you're looking at the headstock of your guitar with your tuner attached to that, I'm going to turn this on so you can see what happens when the guitar is in tune. As we talked about, the first string that we're going to play the E string, which is this one. So you'll hear it, and then you'll see that the tuner registers that it's an E note. So I'm a little bit sharp here. I'm going to just barely turn this, and that's going to show a perfect E note. The next string, the A string, then the D string. Then I'm going to go over here to the G, then the B, and then finally the high E right here. And so that's what we're looking for, is that little digital needle right there. We want that to be dead center. When it's a little high like that, I can fine tune that just a bit to make it a little flatter until it lines up perfectly. But now I've detuned the strings on this guitar, so we're going to go through one at a time. We can see that this 6th string now registers not as an E. That's not an A. It's got that little sharp next to it. That means that it's a little too high. Same note on this one. So this guitar is pretty badly out of tune at this point. So I'm going to start with string 6 again. Again, that's this one. I'm going to see that C sharp is far lower. It comes in the alphabet before E. So I'm going to tighten this. And I'm going to keep playing that string as I tighten this. And you can see that now we're going up in the alphabet. We're getting to D, then to D sharp. And now, even though it says E, we're getting in the right ballpark, but we're not quite where we need to be. So I'm going to keep tuning this until that digital needle lines up where I want it. Now I've gone a little too far, so I'm going to come back. And then a little more. And you can see, like I said earlier, this is a tedious process. It goes back and forth. Here now I'm at A sharp, which means my A string is too high, so I'm going to loosen it. And I'm going to turn it down. And I'm going to see that it's at A. Now I've gone a little too far, so I'm going to tune it back up. Most people prefer to tune up to a note, so they'll typically loosen the peg until it's lower, below the note, and then tune back up until it matches. Seems smart to me. Then here on D, we see that we're at A sharp, so that's well below the D. So we're going to keep turning this. There's C, and then C sharp. And now finally we're at D, and now we're dead center there. Now I'm going to move on to the G. And I see that it says G sharp. So again, sharp means that we're a little too high. We need to loosen the string. So I'm going to turn this. And now it's starting to register just G. It's a little sharp, so I'm going to keep going. And now I see I'm below it, so I'm going to tighten it a little bit. And it's going to come back up to G. Same thing for the B string. I see that it's at A, so it's too low. So I'm going to tighten this until it registers B. A sharp, and there's B. And then I'm going to keep going until that line is dead up. Gone a little too far, so I'm going to go back below it and tune up just a little bit. Like so. And then finally the high E. Now this is at F. F comes after E in the alphabet, so this is too sharp. I'm going to loosen it until I come down to E. And now I've got it perfect. But now I'm in for a surprise, because if I go back to my 6th string and I hit that string again, it's not quite perfect anymore. What's happened is because I've changed the tension of all the other strings, then the tension of the entire guitar has changed, and those other strings are going to be loosened a bit. So I'm going to have to go back through and fine tune. Here's my D. G is okay. B is a little sharp. I'm going to pull it down a little. You'll note that it magically changed to an E. Tuners do that. And then E. And then I go back again. and double check that everything, there's one, is in tune. And so at that point, the guitar should be in tune. And so now you're all tuned up. The guitar should sound pretty good. Got a nice little G note chord going on there. But let's say that Noah comes over and he's going to play guitar with us. And Noah comes and has the seat. He grabs the guitar and said, "All right, man, this song's in G. Ready? Go!" Ooh, it's badly out of tune. So let's say we don't have our digital tuner, but we know this guitar is in tune. I can tune his guitar to mine. So we're going to switch here. And so Noah is going to start on string 6, which is the E string, and he's going to go ahead and play that. I'm going to play mine, and we can hear that mine is lower than his. So because it's lower, I'm going to start turning this tighter until it matches. And then we'll go to the A string and repeat that process. Again, I'm low, so I can tune to his A string. And then we'll go to the next string. And then the G. Okay. And then the B, still flat. And then finally the high E string. Ooh, now I'm sharp, so I'm going to lower it until it matches. Now we're going to go back to the low E string and we're going to retune to fine tune just like we did with the digital tuner. So he was a little bit flat again because the tension of the guitar changed. Then the A string. Good. Then the D. Okay. G. Takes a little bit of practice, and then the high E. And now when we play our G chord together, much nicer. And then finally, if you happen to have access to a piano or a digital keyboard such as this one, you can tune your guitar to the piano the same way you would tune it to another guitar. The place that we would start, however, is if this is middle C, then we come down 2 octaves to this C, and we're going to go to the E after that. That's our reference point. So this would be string 6 right here, string 5, the A string, string 4, the D string, string 3, which is G, string 2, which is B, and then finally back to E all the way up here, 2 octaves above where we started and just above middle C for our high E string, which is string number 1. So again, we have E, A, D, G, B, and E. In a pinch, the guitar can be tuned to itself. This is probably the least accurate way to tune the guitar. Without going into too much detail, guitar is not a perfectly intonated instrument. The size of the frets, the height of the frets changes the pitch just slightly. So when we tune a guitar to itself, it's probably not going to come out perfect. This guitar has been tuned with a tuner. But if you can find some sort of reference to either tune to a low E like so, or an A, more common for pitch pipes and tuning forks, once one of those is in tune, then I can play the strings against each other to match the tone. So here, if I go to my E string and I play at fret number 5 on string 6, then that's an A note, and it should theoretically match string 5. Playing the same string here, or two different strings here, 6 and 5, and I'm getting the same note, mostly. Then I could move down to string number 5, fret it is fret 5, and then 5 and 4 should match. They should both be D. And I can continue on to string number 4 at fret 5, and it should match string 3. If you have a finely tuned ear, you can hear that those two don't sound exactly the same. This right here is a little bit sharper than it should be, but just barely. Now something happens when I get to string number 3. If I stay at fret 5, it's the wrong note. It's not a B, it's a C. So I actually have to move down to fret number 4 on string 3, and then it should match string number 2. And then when I go to string number 2, I go back to fret 5, and those should both match for an E. Again, you can probably hear this isn't quite in tune, but in open position, both these strings, I assure you, are perfectly tuned. So, string 6 fret 5 matches string 5. String 5 fret 5 matches string 4. String 4 fret 5 matches string 3. String 3 fret 4 matches string 2. And then string 2 back to fret 5 should match string 1. And then I can tune to octaves going in reverse. If I go to string 1 fret 7, it should be an octave higher than string 2. And you can hear that those are both a B note. It's just one is a high B and one is a low B. Then when I go to string 2, I have to come up to fret 8, and that should match string number 3. They should both be a G. And again, you can hear it isn't quite right, but it's close. Then back to string 3, I return to fret 7. D and D, those should both match. Then to string number 4, fret number 7, should match string 5. And then finally string number 5, fret 7, should match string 6. Again, this is good in a pinch, but really not the best way to tune your guitar. There's also a way to tune using harmonics. If you know how to use harmonics, I can go to fret number 5 on string 6, and I can play the harmonic, and that should match string number 5, fret 7. Should be the same note. But again, this is not entirely accurate. When I go to string 5, I can do the same thing. Fret 5 on string 5 and fret 7 on 4 should match. And then 5 and 7 on strings 4 and 3 should match. But I have a problem here. When I get to string number 3 and I'm trying to tune it to number 2, again, those are the wrong notes. This is the incorrect note. Now I can find the correct note right here on string number 4, fret number 9. That's the same note as string 2, fret number 7. I can do it that way. And then I can go to string 2, fret number 5, and tune it to string 1, fret 7, and they should be the same. But again, it's not a perfect science at this point. The intonation is slightly different. Okay, so those are the basic methods for tuning your guitar. Again, remember, take your time with this. It takes a while to get used to it. This is a learned skill. It takes dozens of times of tuning your guitar to get to where you feel comfortable with the process, whichever process that you use. So give yourself a lot of grace. Make sure if you're a younger student that you get mom or dad to help you out with that. And as always, if you have any questions on this or anything else, make sure you get in touch with a certified SDML instructor.